Okay, this video is going to examine the forms of the adjective with particular emphasis to the new forms that we learned, the comparative form of the adjective and the superlative form of the adjective. Now, before we get there, there is a third form which you already know of, which is just the standard form of the adjective on its own, and this is what's called the positive form. So, for example, tall is the positive form of the adjective tall. In Latin, the adjective tall is altus, alta, altum, and that's a first and second declension adjective, as you know, and you can see that by seeing that the masculine of this adjective has second declension masculine endings, the feminine form has first declension endings, and then the neuter form has second declension neuter form endings. So, we're going to skip now to the comparative form of the adjective. Now, the comparative form of the adjective is used when you're comparing two objects. So, for example, if I am tall and I want to make clear that I have more height than you, I would say in English, I am taller than you. So, to change an English adjective into a comparative form, you just add er, or you can also just say I am more tall than you. In Latin, it's a little bit different, but just as ER is our symbol in English that we're comparing two objects, in Latin, we're going to use this IOR sound, or EOR. So all you're going to do is, step one, take the base of the adjective, and you can always get that by going to any of the genitive forms of your adjective, dropping off the genitive endings, so the I, the AE, the I, and you're then just going to add IOR for the masculine nominative singular, IOR for the feminine nominative singular, and then the neuter's a little tricky. Instead of adding IOR, you're going to add IUS. Okay? Now, for the genitive form of all three of these, you're just going to take your base, Alt, and you're going to add IORIS. IORIS. And IORIS there as well. So notice, by looking at that IS, you know that this is a third declension form. So comparative adjectives are just declined like third declension nouns. So if you know that the genitive is going to be altior-is, you know the dative is going to be altior-e, and altior-e, because I is your dative third declension ending. Your accusative is going to be altior-m, and then altius. Now this might be a little bit of a surprise to you because you're expecting another eor form, but if you remember that neuter nouns have the same nominative as they do accusative, you'll see that this, of course, has to be eos because the nominative was. And all of these, again, are just meaning taller in the various cases. And then lastly, there's the ablative form. And the ablative is just going to be altior-e. Sorry. Altior-e, altior-e. Okay. So, let's try another one of these out. We have the adjective leitus, leita, leitum. The genitive of that is leiti, leitai, leiti. So the English meaning is happy, but our comparative meaning is going to be happier, or, as we said before, more happy. Beautiful. And again, we go to the base, which here is going to be light. And then we're just going to add IOR to each of these forms, and IUS for the neuter. See? Then, same as last time, EORIS for all these forms. And then lastly, we'll just decline it the rest of the way so that you get a chance to see how that's done. It's going to be Litior E, that I, Litior E, Litior E, Litior M, Litior M, Litius again because it's the neuter, and Litior E in the ablative. Okay, so we have one more of these. This is Keller, Kelleris, Kelleret. And if you remember, the genitive of Keller, Kelleris, Kelleret is Kelleris. So to get your base, you're going to drop off the IS. And now I'm going to pause this and let you have a moment to figure out what these forms should be. So if you have a sheet of paper, why don't you write down what you think these, the rest of these, or all of these forms will be for the comparative, and include the English meaning. What does fast become in the comparative form of Keller? So hopefully you've figured this out by now. If you haven't, pause this video so that you can figure it out. If you have figured it out, I'm going to make the endings appear in just a moment. So 3, 2, 1. So these are the endings that you should have. So check these over. Make sure you are correct in your thinking. Make sure that you got the Kellerius and that you have EOR, or IOR rather, in each of these forms. So now we're going to transition over to the superlative adjective. And the superlative form of the adjective is when you're comparing yourself to everybody, or anything more than two people. So in English, we're using tall again. The superlative form of the adjective is tallest, or very tall, or you could even include most tall. Now, the formation is similar to the previous one. All you're going to do is you're going to take the base of the adjective. So Alt again. Put that in the masculine, feminine, and neuter. I'm just going to show you doing that. And then you're going to add isimus, isima, isimum. Isimus. Isima for the feminine, and isimum. Now you'll notice, like the standard form, like the positive form, that we're dealing with an us, a, adjective. So you see that it's just a standard first and second declension adjective with standard first and second declension endings. So the genitive of this is just going to be isimi for the masculine. For the feminine, it's going to be isimai. And then, of course, for the neuter, it's also going to be altisi ni. Great. The dative, I'm just going to cut and paste and add the appropriate endings. It's going to be isi mo, isi mai again, and then isi mo. I'm just going to scroll this up. And then the accusative, altisi mum, altisi mom, and altisi mum again. Remember that the neuter is the same in the nominative and the accusative. And then lastly, the ablative is just going to be altisi mo, altisi ma with that A for macron, and altisi mo. These are just, again, the singular forms. The plural follow the standard first and second declension. So we'll try another one. Here's the adjective leitus, leita, leitum, meaning happy. There's a genitive form. Notice, again, it's first and second declension adjective. It has first declension here, second declension here, second declension here, and it's going to be the same as the superlative in that way. So why don't you try to write out the forms of this, pause the video, and when you feel like you've got them down, turn the video back on and the correct answers will be up. These are the forms that you got, and this is what your sheet looks like. If not, check it over, figure out where you made a mistake, and of course you can rewind me if something doesn't make sense, or ask me in class tomorrow. Now lastly, there are some superlatives that are slightly irregular. And these are the superlative forms of adjectives that end in ER or LIS. So again, you're still going to take its base, you're still going to add the imus at the end, but instead of adding issimus, if an adjective ends in ER in its positive or standard form, you're just going to add rimus. So celer becomes celerimus, celerima, celerimum. And the rest of the forms stay the same. It would be celerimi, celerimi, and celerimi again. And then, of course, the dative would be celerimo, celerimi, celerimo, etc. And I'm not going to go through all of these forms again, but hopefully you see that the same pattern in terms of case endings is the same. The only difference is the erimus instead of the issimus. Now, adjectives that end in lis, like facilis or difficilus or similis, are similar. Instead of adding issimus again, you're just going to add limus to go with that L sound. So we'll try another one on the next page. You have facilis, and that's just going to become, well, facilis, facilis, facile. The genitive, of course, of this is just facilis, facilis, and facilis. So you just drop off the is endings and you get facile. That's your base. And then you would just add limus to that. Facile. Limus, lima to this one. And limum to this one. And that would be, goes from easy to the easiest. Okay. And you'll see, again, just like the other ones, facilimi, facilimai, facilimi, standard first and second declension ending. So this is going to do it for this explanation. What I would suggest that you try now, I have an activity set up on WordChamp that practices these. It has adjectives like facilis, it has adjectives like celer, it has adjectives like altus. See if you can do these comparative forms. If you have questions, you can email them to me or post them as questions at the bottom of the YouTube link. Hopefully this has been helpful, and again, if you need to, you can certainly rewind me to clear up anything else. Thanks so much for your time.